What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today I'm introducing a new build. I'm down here in the ground. We are digging the foundation for my dad's new shop on his property. He's doing a 40 by 60 steel building, and we're gonna put it all up ourselves. So throughout the series, I'm just gonna go through different parts of the build. Like we're gonna do the layout and digging the holes like I'm sitting in right now. And then we're also gonna do the rebar, concrete, erecting the building, the tin, the insulation, electrical, whatever else we decide to do. So follow along, drop any comments you might have about how we're doing it, and or maybe advice you have from your own experience. And without further ado, rewind and enjoy. So basically the first thing that we got to do is my dad went around and marked all the corners. You can kind of see right there in the back, there's a little pole with the marker on it, and that's our corners. But now we're going to be putting up some batter boards, what they're called? Batter boards. Yeah, batter boards. So basically what that does is gives you a nice point to go off of with your string line so that you can lay out the foundation. Now, other than setting these batter boards at roughly a 45 to your corner, there's not really a ton you have to do other than getting them all the same height. And I guess that is a pretty big step. So we did that using a transit, and I'll show you that in a second. But this one was on the highest point of the property on the dirt. And so we ended up having to actually lower it down a little bit so we could balance it out between this high point and the other corners, which were lower. And the reason why you have to have them all the same is so that when you dig your holes for your foundation, you can get that level. But yeah, let's get onto the transit and I'll show you how that works. So first off, this thing's pretty old school. They do it all with lasers now and it's way more efficient, but it's kind of the same concept. So that little yellow thing right there on top is basically like a rifle scope, and it has your crosshairs in it that you can look at, and that is your measuring line. And then the little brass knobs on the bottom right there allow you to measure that, so when you spin it at 360 degrees, it is perfectly level all the way around. And then what you do is you look through that and you have somebody hold up this stick with all your measurements on it, and you can see where that line comes in at, and then that will tell you your height of each individual batter board in this case, or whatever you want to measure. All right, so that one is 3 foot. What did you say? 3 foot 8 and an 8?
8.5.
Oh, 3 foot 8.5.
Just put it right there, and then we can see how much we got to go up.
So this one's sitting on the ground. We haven't nailed it into the stakes yet, so we're gonna get a measurement of where we're at. All right, so 3 out of the 4 are installed. We got them leveled, and then got them set with the transit. But now we got to come over here and do this one. So this one's pretty low, so we're gonna have to raise it up quite a bit. All right, let me give you guys the update. So I was out playing over the last weekend, and my dad got a lot of work done. The last you seen was putting up the strings and laying out the actual layout of the building, and now it's down to digging the actual footers and all the holes for it. So my dad's got all these holes roughed in, and he's still over there digging, and I'm gonna show you guys what we got. With the string and the easy part, and I come back and we've been out here doing the manual labor.
Yeah, we still got a lot of backhoe to do. But
yeah,
it's getting there. It's a little rough getting the backhoe to get it perfect. Yeah, just have big old buckets.
Since we were trying to be at least a little bit efficient with this project, my dad made those square wood frames that you're seeing right there as just a way to quickly measure the square and size of the hole, because we have to use this rotary hammer or a chisel and a hammer or a shovel to dig those down and shape them to the correct size. So that way you can just throw that little square in there and then make sure it fits, or if it doesn't, then you just keep on going. These holes were actually kind of deceiving because it seemed like you cut out plenty of material and then you scoop it all out with a shovel and then try it with a little pattern, and then it turns out that it's still not big enough. So you got to go back in, chisel it, scoop it. But this way at least we have a really nice solid form basically for the foundation, instead of having to dig out a huge hole and then form it up and then backfill it. So if you're curious why we were doing that. How many days out here to dig these holes so far?
So far, let's see. Started on it Saturday, really, and today's Thursday. So, yeah.
And you've been out here pretty much every day.
I've saved a ton of money, like just doing it this way instead of. Well, I really just didn't want to dig this huge hole and disrupt all the ground. Is my whole thing, but
yeah, at least keep this all compacted and
yeah,
still with these instead of building forms. But
so
it's kind of a trade-off.
It's a trade-off.
So during this build, if you guys have any ideas or opinions on how we're doing things, or any other new ideas as to how to do it better, be sure to let us know in the comments, because we're open to learning, and it's always cool because there's a lot of stuff to learn out there and a lot of different ways of handling business. And I've learned a lot from YouTube channels over the years, so drop some comments, maybe it'll help you guys out. I don't know, but yeah, a lot of manual labor on this part. Hopefully once we get on to actually doing the concrete and everything, there'll be a little more progress for you to see, but right now it's just a lot of digging. On another note, it's kind of crazy to see the difference between what you have to do to build a pole barn, like a wood pole barn, versus building a steel building like this. Because a pole barn, I mean, I've watched a bunch of videos on it. You just dig all your holes for your for all your posts, and then basically put your sonotube in there, put your bracket in, and then bolt the actual wood thing up to it, like with all your walls in it. You just get it all standing up, run all the bolts in, and you're good to go. But this one with those, I mean, these holes are pretty big, but then those 5-foot ones are pretty massive, and all that does is sit down underneath, and then the actual main frame of the building will bolt to it. But it's kind of wild because, I mean, you can get them the same size. It's just the wood ones, I guess the wood ones have a lot more pillars, but I don't know, interesting.